Breaking down Arizona Wildcats football, the Wildcats get a huge 31-28 win over North Dakota State Saturday night at the stadium to finish the non-conference 2-1. I'm David Kelly, joined as always by Glenn Howell, U of A football class of 1985. And Glenn, I'll tell you what, it was an electric atmosphere at the stadium on Saturday night, and I think we kind of mentioned what was going on, the mindset of this game. A lot of people felt like this was a game that U of A shouldn't play, and how if you don't win, that's a bad thing. If you win, then it's not a good thing either, just because obviously we had said it, this is a team that you should beat, and they went out and they did that. Wasn't easy, but it was a lot of fun to watch. Their crowd brought a lot of energy, and that's really what college football is all about, having games with a lot of fan emphasis, a loud stadium, and it goes down to the wire with a winner at the end.
Yeah, and I thought I knew it was going to be great competition because of the pedigree of North Dakota State. They have won before in big time against big time schools, and they're coming to the Pac-12 for the first time. They wanted to say, let's do a repeat. We're national champions. They came in and they were very confident. They thought they were going to come in here and just roll us over. And our guys just said, hey, wait a minute. We're the Pac-12, and we has something to say about this, and we're going to take this game.
All right, let's start on the offensive side of the ball. Glenn, Jayden de Laura used his feet in this ball game. And I want to tell you, and everybody knows, we've been doing this for 13 years now. Everybody knows I don't like running quarterbacks. Do not like it. Don't want my quarterback running. But what I will say about Jayden de Laura is I finally feel like we have a quarterback who I can trust to run and not get himself killed, which was my whole thing going all the way back to Anu Solomon, Matt Scott, Khalil Tate. I just felt like those guys did not understand how to run to keep themselves in the ball game. But I think Jayden understands that. Doesn't mean I want him running maybe. I mean, he ran 10 times. That's still about as much as I want to see him running in any given ball game. But at least if he's going to run 10 times, I feel like he knows how to get down when he has to get down to not take any kill shots.
Yeah, I think that he learned so much from that last game, and I call it smart feet. That's what he had. He had smart feet. He was running when it was open, when he didn't have anything. He had a clear lane, and every time he ran, only towards the end, a couple times he may have ran a little bit, maybe 2 or 3 yards too much before getting down because a guy came right for his head and he ducked underneath it. He was well aware of his surroundings, and that was smart feet. He was getting down and getting the yards that we needed. And then he was doing his rollouts, getting out of the pocket, doing the thing the smart way, and not being out there trying to make a play and understand to live another down. And I think he learned a lot from the last game, and he's moving forward. I think he's going to be a more efficient player.
How about the running back position and the money carries going to Jonah Coleman down the stretch in this ball game? 2 big freshmen we're going to talk about, at least Jonah Coleman on the offensive side. We'll get to Jacob Manu's performance on the defensive side. But Coleman getting those money carries when the game was on the line in the fourth quarter, boy, that says a lot in how much they trust him in that situation, considering it was only his 3rd game in college.
Yeah, that's downhill Donnie, man. He was going downhill. That's all he was doing. He was punishing people while he was getting to the hole. And then he had great awareness of his holes, following his lineman up in the hole, getting loose, and just using his blockers. I thought he did a great job, and I think he's going to be a great running back here. It's just that I love the way they're putting all these guys in. You got Wiley, you got Coleman, we got DJ, we got all these guys that are coming in, and then Speedy comes in and just makes that play. That was a huge play that he did. So we have guys that are taking their roles, taking advantage of the time they're in the game, and that's what we call big-time players.
Yeah, they finally got a chance to shoot Speedy out of that cannon. Unfortunately, on that run, he suffered the injury, so we'll have to see what his status is moving forward. Glenn, we talked on Friday about Tanner McLaughlin, and we love to give out game balls after wins, and my first game ball is going to Tanner McLaughlin. Back-to-back 50-yard receiving performances, but Glenn, even more so, you asked for better blocking from the tight ends. And that's what we got from Tanner McLaughlin in this game. If you look at that run game down the stretch, Tanner McLaughlin was in the middle of every major block to help that running game go in the third and fourth quarter.
That's exactly what you have to do as a tight end. You got to block first, then you get to receive the rewards of catching the ball. And that's what I think that Tanner has learned. He is getting better on his technique. I love the way he can catch the ball, and he's so athletic. And he, that one that he caught and he got upended and just got bounced back up. I mean, I really like his toughness. I think Lyons is good too. And we got Burnett in the bullpen. And, we got guys that we're going to use that are going to be really effective of punishing defenses.
And I want to pull this play up here, Glenn. How about the play down in the red zone, the three lineman play that they used? I don't know where Jed drew this one up with McLaughlin as kind of a slot. They moved all the two edge linemen all the way out to the end, and then ran McLaughlin down here for this 16-yard gain to get into the doorstep. That was some pretty impressive play design there by Jed Fish.
Yeah, that was a great play, and you can't do that play without being a very athletic and awareness as a tight end to be able to make that play. I really think that he did a great job, and he's going to continually to get better. And when we're talking about game balls, I want to give mine to Cowling, because here's a guy that did not get targeted the whole game. Okay, he could have went to the sideline and been, oh man, you're not getting me the ball, not getting me the ball. But we called his number. He made the big plays. He came in and made the big plays when we needed him. And that is what I say is an unselfish player that does what he has to do to get us to win. And that's who my game ball goes to.
All right, defensively, it was not pretty in the run game for sure. The Wildcats gave up 283 yards rushing in this game, Glenn. But I'll tell you what, they found a way in the final 7 defensive plays of this game. I don't know what changed. I went back and I looked to see maybe if they altered something in the schemes, and it didn't really look like they altered anything in that respect. It was just some guys stood up and made plays, and it started with Hunter Echols putting North Dakota State behind the chains on a 1st and 10, and that was the first of those 7 plays. They got just 11 yards over their last 7 plays because the linebackers in particular, Hunter Echols, I'm really going to call him a linebacker because he stands up, even though they've kind of listed him as a lineman, defensive end. But to me, he's actually a linebacker. Jerry Roberts, who was filling gaps and making tackles. Jacob Manu, who was like a little whirling dervish there. The true freshman linebacker blew up a play on an edge run. And then the big man, Keon Bars, down front, had 2 tremendous pushes. The one on the 4th down play, and then the one where he almost slipped off sides here and was able to right himself, get rid of the center, and make a tackle for loss. Those last 7 defensive plays were tremendous.
Yeah, I think those guys all stepped up and forgot, how they say next play? They forgot about all those plays that they were getting run down, downhill with all those, with Letke was running those balls and just shoving it down our throats. And they really came back. Look at the guys. I think we're developing some toughness. Echols went out with a little bump, and he came back. Jalen Harris got hurt. I thought he was done. He came back, and he played again. Their guys are developing some toughness on that side of the ball. And I love what's happening with our linebackers. Our linebackers are playing linebacker. They're actually coming in and filling holes and making tackles. And then gives kudos to our safeties. When was the last of the 3 games we haven't had any balls hit to the middle of the field? Our safeties, I think, are doing a great job. Chuck Cecil working with those guys. I mean, they're just doing a great job, and we're not seeing any. We were used to get killed in the middle of the field. Now it's like a no-fly zone. And I really
Well, and maybe in this game, I mean, this obviously wasn't a passing team, and they weren't going to throw the ball that much. But I still have some questions to be answered there in terms of, Jackson Turner more playing deep in the zone versus up in the zone. I still want to see him be better in that respect. But yeah, for this particular game against a team that didn't really throw the ball much, you're right. They did not allow
their tight end. They usually throw their tight end to the middle of the field. So they've done that a lot, and they didn't get any of those in this game.
And I'm going to give my game ball on defense to Hunter Echols. And it was tough for me because I really liked what Jerry Roberts did at the end of the game. I talked about those 7 plays. Jerry Roberts was in on 4 of those 7 plays. But for me, the biggest play of the game was the strip sack in the first half by Hunter Echols in the red zone. I mean, that to me was a game-changing play, because if they score there, I don't know. That to me, the momentum of that game could have been drastically different if they go in and score right there. The strip sack there, then again, you go right back down, Glenn, and score. And that's been a theme for this offense as well, is when the defense gets a big turnover, for the offense to turn around and go down and put 6 points up on the board.
That's what they have to do. They got to take advantage of the turnovers. And I'm going to split my ball in half. Okay, I'm going to give mine to Mr. Bars, who made a heck of a play in those last series. Getting around that center and making that tackle in the backfield. And then I'm going to give one to Mr. Roberts, man. He's just been playing his buns off all season long. He's just playing with a reckless abandonment. He's getting in there. He's taking on linemen. He's, he gets knocked out, and then he comes back the next play. He's coming 100 miles an hour. He is not getting intimidated. I love his toughness, and we're starting to get some grit on that defense, and that's what I really like.
Yeah, I had to go. Like I said, it was tough because I loved what Jerry did at the end of the game, but for me it was Hunter, just because, like I said, I thought the strip sack was huge, and then I thought when I talked about the 7 plays, he had the first of the 7 plays that put them behind the chains. I mean, you look at their first downs, because he did that. It was a 1-yard loss on a first down play. Their previous 6 first downs, Glenn, they had gotten 52 yards on first down. That's 9 yards a play on their previous 6 first downs, and that was a large reason they were in control of the game. And that one play by Hunter put them behind the chains, and it kind of allowed the Wildcats to be able to change that momentum, flip it, and that's what they did over the next 6 plays to have a chance to give themselves to win that ball game.
You got to give credit to Coach Danson.
Yeah.
He has put in their mindset of all the defensive players of turnovers. He's put the mindset in their mind that we can and will get turnovers, and they have done it every single game. So they're really pushing that, and it's just a mental thing. That's why I think that we're getting better mentally. And then as we get better physically through the season, working on our plays and making sure assignment alignments, we're going to be a hard out for some of these teams. And I think that we're just getting better every week. We can't take a step back when we play against Cal next week. We have to continue on our trek to getting better.
All right, and my special teams game ball, I'm going to give it to Tyler Loop, even though he had his first miss. But to make your first 14 kicks in college is pretty impressive. And to be quite honest with you, when he missed that field goal, I thought that was it. I was like, man, the guy that never misses, and now you're giving them the ball back in the way that they had been moving it offensively. I'm starting to think, man, maybe this is not the night for this team. But again, the defense stood up for him. He didn't get the points on the board. They stood up for him and were able to turn the game around. So Tyler Loop, I'm going to give him a game ball for making his first 14 field goals. And it's going to be interesting to see, and this is one of the stories that we talked about during training camp, is how he went through some mental things during the spring because he was missing some kicks and kind of getting down on himself. And that was really his first pressure kick of his career, because he hadn't really ever been in a game like that, where, this kick now matters. I mean, every kick matters, but when you're in the fourth quarter and you're down, now they really matter. And he missed it. So it's going to be interesting to see now if some of those that mental lifting that he did, and you talked about the mental game earlier, some of that mental lifting he did to get his mind right in the spring. Now let's see that come into play moving forward, because he's got to come back off of that miss now to continue to put himself and continue that pace that we've seen from him moving forward.
Yeah, and I think, like, when we go up to Cal, you know how Cal is. That game is always crazy. So every time we play them, so we might need him when we wait for that kick for the winner, because I tell you, that's going to be a tough physical game. And I'm liking the way we're progressing in our physicality. We're getting there. We're really getting to play like, hey man, we're physical, because Cal's going to be physical. Cal's always been physical every time we played them. Even when I played them, they were really physical. So we gotta be ready for that game. And I think our mentality is getting there. And I'm really, really excited about next week.
And one thing else I want, before we wrap this up, Glenn, that I absolutely love is Jordan Paopao, the U of A tight ends and special teams coach. He's one of the most excited guys on the sideline. Every time a defensive guy makes a big play, Jordan is like 10 feet up off the ground. Yeah. That's one of my favorite things is to watch.
Got a vertical. I like to put him on the jump pad and test that vertical, man.
For a big guy, he gets up pretty far. I love watching Jordan Paopao celebrate this U of A defense. All right, it's the Wildcats and the California Golden Bears. Pac-12 play gets underway Saturday night up at Strawberry Canyon. It is actually Saturday afternoon. It's a day game up at Strawberry Canyon. So we'll be back and we'll preview that game for you on Saturday morning.